Chapter 545. At this time, Nagato slowly raised his right hand, and while pointing his index finger towards Yama, he said coldly, "The future of this shinobi world will be decided here and now between you and me. No matter what you try, you cannot avoid it. I will not allow you to avoid it." Yama didn't answer, or more like he couldn't answer, as he was using all of his brain cells to figure out something that would let him get past this predicament. Seeing Yama silent, Nagato, who is usually not very talkative, continued, "Although your mask hinders me from figuring out much about you, I can at least feel that just like me, you are also a dojutsu user. Even if I don't know what kind of dojutsu you have, I can still feel your visual prowess. And you don't need to deny that the visual prowess of my rinnegan is higher than the visual prowess of your dojutsu." As soon as Nagato said so, Yama squinted his eyes slightly, but did not give any definitive answer to any of Nagato's assumptions. Even if, in his heart, Yama knew that Nagato is indeed right, he did not acknowledge it out in the open. But Yama understood that he has been cornered now, and started to consider the possibility of making a major breakthrough under such heavy pressure. He also knows that it isn't strange for certain people to make a major breakthrough under heavy pressure, especially when they are driven to a corner and left with no option. As the saying goes, even a cornered rat will bite a cat. And Yama can only hope that he is also one such individual. As for the option of turning around and running away, it's not that he did not consider this possibility. He did consider it, but immediately denied it. The reason why he denied this possibility is not something so foolish or naive as only cowards run away, and I'm not a coward. No, Yama would never act or believe in something so foolish and naive. The only reason he denied the thought of running away is that if he were to run away now, then the invincible image of a Matsukami in the hearts of everyone would collapse, which would mean that all the hard work he has done up until now to build this invincible image of a Matsukami in the hearts of others would go to waste, and Yama can't have that, not if he can help it. Moreover, if the invincible image of a Matsukami collapsed, then the unbridled Akatsuki organization would become even more wanton and will be easily able to collect all the 9 Biju with no one to stop or oppose them, which would only speed up the resurrection of Jubi and the events following that. But Yama can't allow the Jubi or Shinju to come to the stage at this point, as it will be non-conducive to his own plans. Therefore, no matter what, Yama can't allow Nagato or the Akatsuki organization to continue collecting the Biju. Even if Yama can't stop Nagato, he must at least find a way to delay Nagato's plans so that he and the shinobi world can have enough time to prepare corresponding countermeasures. Of course, it's not that Yama has no way to defeat or stop Nagato. He has it. It's just that he has not managed to successfully learn that method, at least not yet. Therefore, it's sort of useless. But now that he has been driven to a corner, he has no choice but to do everything he can to turn that useless into useful. As such, Yama again used every bit of his brain cell to carry out all sorts of calculations and tried to figure out a way to somehow combine his Senin mode with his Tenseigan chakra mode. Yes, combining his Senin mode with his Tenseigan chakra mode, combining his Senin mode and his Tenseigan chakra mode to give birth to an all-new chakra mode is the only thing he can think of at this point that would give him enough strength to defeat Nagato. And Yama is certainly confident that as long as he can combine these two modes, he can outright crush Nagato. Of course, this is only possible if he can do it, and he must do it. Now, with a clear objective in his mind, Yama tried to think up a way to really do it. But the moment Yama started to think of a method to combine the two modes, Nagato took another step forward, and after walking out of the protection of Gedo Mazo, he questioned in a deep tone of voice, "Could it be you are afraid of me?" Following Nagato's question, Gedomazo, standing behind Nagato, let out a heart-palpating roar. At the same time, intense pressure descended upon the battlefield, cracks appeared all over the ground, and stormy winds started to rage all over the battlefield. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. At this rate, he wouldn't even give me enough time to make a breakthrough. Yama cursed inwardly and was now in a really panicked and hopeless state. What do I do? What should I do? What can I do? The moment Yama's thoughts started to become muddled and panicked, the dark clouds that have been covering the battlefield in an oppressive atmosphere up until now suddenly dispersed. As soon as the gloomy dark clouds dispersed, silver moonlight sprinkled on the earth and illuminated the dim and dark battlefield into an elusive state. White and black, light and dark, sharp and soft. Such a combination appeared on the battlefield, and it was painful yet beautiful, simply as that of an illusion. When this silvery moonlight fell upon Yama's figure, all his muddled thoughts suddenly disappeared, and a faint smile appeared on his face as he looked at the unusually close bright moon in the starry night sky. The appearance of the moon also made Yama realize that he still has a trump card that can reverse the state of the battlefield, and can't help but think, it's been a few years already since the previous incident. Those old people of the last generation of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon should have relaxed their vigilance by now, right? The more Yama thought about it, the brighter and the more obvious his smile became. Of course, because he was wearing the Yama mask, this smile was not visible to anyone. Anyhow, it has been more than 4 years since Yama's Tenseigan resonated with the giant Tenseigan on the moon. After that accidentally coincidental incident, those old fellows of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon were extremely vigilant for a while and used the giant Tenseigan on the moon to search the shinobi world of the earth from time to time, trying to investigate the specific cause responsible for such an unusual occurring. Yama, who also has the Tenseigan and Hamura's chakra flowing in him, was always able to perceive all their attempts and chose to decisively cut off the connection between his own Tenseigan and the giant Tenseigan on the moon. Of course, he didn't stop just there. He also made sure to lay low during those times by shielding his own chakra fluctuations and didn't even dare to use his own Tenseigan at those times, all for the sake of avoiding being perceived by those old yet arrogant radicals in any manner possible. Yama's efforts obviously bore fruits, and despite all their search, they were unable to find anything that would give them an answer for such an unusual occurrence. With the passage of time, the frequency of their search for the cause became less and finally stopped about 18 months ago, which really made Yama take a relieved breath. Maybe it was because no matter how much they tried, it gave no result except for more and more speculations and assumptions, with no substantive proof and no definitive answer. As a result, they simply gave up. Or perhaps something unusual happened on the moon itself, which diverted their attention on the more pressing matters. Regardless of what was the exact cause of their giving up, what's certain is that they did give up their search. Of course, Yama still did not drop his vigilance and never tried to borrow any chakra from the giant Tenseigan on the moon. This is because he knew that if such an unusual occurrence with the giant Tenseigan on the moon were to happen again, then those radical old fellows of the Otsutsuki clan wouldn't give up so easily. Yes, they would definitely not give up the second time, and there's no telling what they might try to do to find the cause. It's possible that they might even come down to Earth in search of the cause, or maybe even use a more radical approach and directly collide the moon with the Earth to completely destroy the cause and the shinobi world at the same time. Whichever the case, it would not only not be beneficial for him, but in fact be harmful to him. Therefore, Yama avoided trying to cause a second unusual occurrence that is inexplicable. After all, once might be an unusual occurrence that is inexplicable, but more than once is definitely not an unusual occurrence that is still inexplicable. Therefore, to make sure that neither of these possibilities doesn't come true, Yama chose to lay low and avoided attracting their attention to both himself and the shinobi world of the earth. Although he knew that this is not a permanent solution to the problem, as sooner or later they will definitely be able to find him, he had no other option, as this was the only method he had at the time in his hand to solve his dilemma. But Yama believed that sooner or later he will be able to find a permanent solution, so he was not too worried. Besides, there is also the fact that not many of those Otsutsuki descendants are left on the moon, and even the ones that are alive now wouldn't stay alive for very long. After all, even the canon story focused on the events that happened more than 10 years later, that is, 2 years after the conclusion of the Fourth Great Shinobi War, when Otsutsuki Toneri kidnapped Hyuga Hanabi and also attempted to destroy the shinobi world of the earth to carry out the so-called last will of Hamura. At that time, he was the only descendant of the Otsutsuki clan of the moon to have survived. Anyway, all that aside, now that he has no other option left, and Nagato wouldn't give him enough time to forcibly integrate the Sennin mode and Tenseigan chakra mode, so he decided to rely on the giant Tenseigan on the moon, which is his only and best option at this point. As for the possibility that he might be found by those Otsutsuki clan descendants on the moon, Yama doesn't have nearly enough time or attention to think about it, and he will be reckless for once and think about how to solve that problem later. So, with his objective clear, Yama converged all his divergent thoughts at this moment, then focused on re-establishing the resonance with the giant Tenseigan on the moon. Instantly, the pair of Tenseigan in his eye sockets glowed with a brighter light, following which a resonating connection between his Tenseigan and the giant Tenseigan on the moon began to be re-established. "Almost done. Just need a few more seconds," muttered Yama to himself. The connection has already been established, but Yama has to wait a few more seconds for the chakra from the giant Tenseigan to arrive in his body. After all, the distance between the Earth and the Moon is still several 100,000 miles and can't be covered instantly, unlike spatial movement. So now Yama has to only delay Nagato for a few seconds so that the chakra of the giant Tenseigan on the Moon arrives in his body, and then he will be all set to beat up Nagato.